Well, today, in case you didn't know, is Earth Day, a day to come together in support of environmental protection and honor our beautiful planet. And joining us now to talk about how you can help protect our planet is conservation analyst at the Idaho Conservation League, Dainee Gibson-Webb. Dainee, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Absolutely. Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day. So first of all, let's start there. Why is it so important to have Earth Day?
Yeah, so Earth Day is super important because our Earth is super important. But sometimes we kind of take it for granted and we don't take the best care of it. So Earth Day is a day to remind us to celebrate our planet's natural resources and then take steps to lessen our impacts on it as humans. Specifically in Idaho, these resources contribute to our quality of life, including our clean air and water, our mountains and rivers, forests and deserts, and even our wildlife and many more wonderful natural resources. And then especially as we're feeling the direct impacts of a changing climate here in Idaho, with our longer and hotter fire seasons, more drought, and negative impacts to our wildlife, we need to remember this year's Earth Day theme, which is Restore Our Earth, and realize that Idahoans can be part of that mission.
And what are some of the ways that Idahoans can help reduce their climate footprint and help our planet?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times climate can feel like such a big issue, and it feels like we as individuals can't do anything. But there are so many things that we can do, big and small, in different areas of our life. So let's start thinking about like what we can do at home. So first of all, think about your light bulbs. Those are a really common thing when we talk about climate because lights use a good bit of energy in our homes. And so when we turn off our lights, when we leave the room or when we go away for work, that's super important to not use that energy if we don't need it. And then when you have a light bulb that goes out, if you replace it with an LED bulb, that saves tons of energy and will save you money in the long run. So that's good for your planet and the wallet. And then another big thing is speaking up for solar projects in your own communities, and trying to really localize that power can be super, super important in your home. And then when you're away from your home, if you think about how, we travel, and transportation is actually one of the leading causes or sources of greenhouse gas emissions in the state of Idaho. So if we try walking or biking to work once a week, if that's available, or if you can't, if you live too far away from your place of work, you could carpool with a coworker or your roommate or spouse. And then if you're thinking about getting a new car, considering an electric vehicle is a great way to be a little bit more environmentally friendly in our transportation. Finally, taking care of our public lands is a great way to be a steward of the forest and making sure that the forest can capture the carbon and really store it. So making sure that, we take care of them when we go out hiking, we pick up trash, we don't ruin our muddy trails in the spring by walking on them or biking on them, and we're just respectful of our wildlife neighbors. All of those things really can help the health of the forest ecosystems so that they can keep growing big trees, which stores tons and tons of carbon.
Lots of good advice there. You just mentioned the public lands. Are there other parts of Idaho that maybe need some additional protecting as well?
Yeah, so absolutely. Our public lands are, one of the biggest things that Idaho is known for, but there's a lot of land between those already, somewhat protected public lands that deserves to be protected as well, especially when we think about our mountaintops. As the climate changes, wildlife and ecosystems in general need that climatic variability that occurs naturally on a mountain. As you go up in elevation, you also can go down in temperature generally. So as the climate warms, those higher up areas are super important for little critters like mountain pika, which are really sensitive to changes in temperature.
All right, Dainee with the Idaho Conservation League, thank you so much for joining us here on the News at 4. A lot of good information there.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.